Okay, I'll be starting in a few minutes. I'm getting my stuff ready. This is tonight's class is the Mary sign, class number 5. Now, you were given homework, and the homework was with this stencil that I had made that you were going to create the buffalo plaid. And I gave you a homework assignment on how to do that. I hope it wasn't difficult. When I tell you this was probably the hottest part of this entire project, it's the truth. I'm lowering my volume on this beautiful Christmas music a little bit. Too loud. Okay. This was the hottest part, was lining it up and make sure that the lines were all going the same way. Painting the tree and putting the Mary on is the easiest thing. The one thing I want to explain that you're going to do at the end, but my board will be too wet, is how to apply the bells. So I'll show you what I did. The jingle bells that I give you, you just fold it in half, and you're going to loop one side, and you're going to take the other side, and you're simply going to put it around the board. And as you can see on the back of my board here, all I did was tack them in, and they stay. If you figure out a better way, let me know. Now, I did have to trim off a couple of the bells on the edge here so that there would be no interference tying it down. So that's the hottest thing. And then you just have a couple of jingle bells to use for some type of other ornament. Okay? And I also did give you some jute rope if you want to, play with this and staple it down and hang it, or you can just lean it. So that's your choice. Okay? So I'm going to bring out my other board. Now mine is gray because I want to give this to a friend of mine for Christmas, and her color scheme is gray in our house. I actually had to turn the heat down in my workroom for the first time. So what we're going to start with is actually putting the Mary down. You'll have this vinyl, and I gave you a big popsicle stick. And you're simply just going to press it down on the back side because we want the letters to stick. Okay, so I rub it, again, and then I go in and I peel it off. Look how messy my hands are. All I've been doing is doing paint classes. So just give yourself some patience on peeling it back. There we go. Oh, almost had it. There we go. So you just want to be aware when you peel it. My hands are so dry. Excuse me. Having a difficult time here tonight. Maybe this is the hottest part of the class, huh? There we go. All right. So have your popsicle stick nearby, and you just want to make sure it's staying on. And if you see that it's lifting up, just press it down and peel it off. And then you're just going to press it down. I'm going to use my top line like this. And I'll show you, I'll compare with the original if you can see both of them at the same time. It may not be. So I'm going to have the E line up right under center there, and the Y. Now I'm going to put it down, and I'm going to use my popsicle stick and press it down. And then lift off. Now see how that lifted up? Just press it down. There we go. I'm just being gentle and taking my time. There we go. Perfect. Okay. And then I just do a nice little pat down to make sure it's down. This helps me figure out where my center of the tree is going to be also. Okay, so we will start by drawing the trunk. Oh, I shut off my music totally. Let's see. There we go. A little bit. There we go. I'm going to start with the tree trunk. And I am going to use my flat brush. And what I'm going to do first, I'm going to move the, let's see, I can move up like this so you can see more of it. There you go. How much can I move? Okay, bottom of my hand. So I'm just going to practice. I'm going to be like, okay, I'm going to bring my tree trunk all the way down. Now you really don't see the tree trunk through the trees. And then down here, you just make it a little thicker. Okay, so you just want to give yourself an imaginary view of what you're going to do first, okay? And I'm starting with my brown paint. And I'm just putting a little bit. And I'm holding my brush up and down like this. And I'm going to put my demo in front of me. I want to leave like 2 squares. I want to start in this one here. And I'm just going to give myself a point right there. I just put a dot down. And you can draw it straight line, just coming down. And you don't have to worry about it being perfectly straight. Like I said, this is being hidden by all the foliage of the tree. I'm going to come down. Okay. Now when I come down here, I'm going to make the trunk, let me push this up so you can see, make the trunk coming off the edge. And then I'll thicken up a little bit here. And you can darken it up if you need to. So this is just giving me a guideline. I'm just deepening the color on the bottom here. I'm not so worried about the upper part. Okay. And that's it for the brown. Simple, right? So now we're gonna get our greens ready. You have a bright green, a medium green, and a dark green. I'm gonna start with my medium color green first. And I'm gonna put down the base of the color. Most of the tree will be in that color. And we're gonna use the dark and the light as highlights and lowlights, just like our hair, right? And then the white that we put on is the last. It's the frosting tips. Okay. So to do the tree, I'm going to use my round brush. And starting with the medium green, and I'll show you, medium, dark, the bright. See how I have it on my brush? Not too heavy, but... And then I'm going to just start. Now remember, you want to gradually get bigger, right? So we're going to start off small on the top. And you're just going to bring brush strokes downward. And you're going to stay loose with it. And you're going to cover the brown. Now if you need to, you can keep it thin going all the way down and then come in and widen it out at certain areas. So the more simple you keep, the easier it is to control. So I'm just like patting it down. Those who did the porch cleaner, it's also the same technique. Let me change the light over here. So remove this. Okay. So think of, you know, the different movements with the branches, right? And we just keep, hey Diane, hey Stacy. So we're just putting down our base coat. You know, I'm not going to get the tree too thick right away because I don't want it to be overpowering. So I'm just dropping my brush down, little short strokes. Down, down, down. Remember, I always do threes. I don't know why. 1, 2, 3. Reload. And your paint's going to be pretty wet on wet when we're painting this, because you'll get some really nice mixtures of the greens together. I'm doing a February Valentine's paint party, Stacy, if you're interested. It's going to be January 12th at Stumpy's. I will be doing online board classes also, more of that ilk after the first of the year. So I will make you aware. The people last night at the board party were great. They were very, very energetic, had great creativity. Hey, Jesse. So I'm just slowly filling in my tree. I don't want it to get overly thick too fast. Kind of reminds me of my Christmas tree. It's like tall and thin because I have a small house, so trying to put a bigger tree in is impossible. Can you see the bottom there? I'll push up a little more. So I'm just gradually coming down. Now I know quite a few of you have commitments tonight, so I will be downloading this video and sending it to you. it's faster and easier for me to do a video live on Facebook, download it, and bring it up on YouTube than it is to do a regular video. One of my classes I videotaped prior and just sent videos instead of having a live class, and it took 3 days for the video to upload from my phone. Learning a lot about technology and how it works. Okay. Almost down to the base. And when I get down to the base, then I'll start flaring it out a little more. Now the plaid here, I actually made the stencils on my Cricut, and then I made like a dozen stencils for the paint parties at Stumpy's, no problem. The other day I go to make stencils and I must have threw away like 10 sheets of stencil paper because it would not cut through correctly. So I am still trying to figure out what I did. But I'm actually in the process of making, learning how to make silkscreen stencils. Okay, now I'm coming down to the base. And this is where I'm going to determine the bottom first. It's going to be, like I said, most of this brown is going to be covered up. Nope, I just grabbed brown, speaking of, instead of green. They're sitting right next to each other. Okay, so I'm going to bring it down. I'm going to work out how thick I want my bottom to be. So I'm going to work from the bottom up. You can always go in and change it. So I'm kind of want to leave like a half a square on each side. So I'm going to work it out until I get to there. Okay. Now I'm going to build it up. Hope my shadow wasn't casting across this. Okay, so let me evaluate what I've done. Okay, so I like that, and I'm going to come a few down and start thickening him up, keeping in mind how thick the bottom is. And even the buffalo check will get hidden behind him once you get all the layers of color on. So I'm just pulling it down very gently, not heavy-handed, very light. And you have some thick and some thin. Okay, now I'm going to come back down here and work up this way. I just want to make sure I get a gradual thickness happening. Okay, here. And I'm pulling down. Okay, now I'm going to go back up, and I'm going to keep in mind where I am. And it's almost going to seem like it stays a certain thickness at a certain point and then just whoosh, fans out. This is very relaxing. Like I said, putting the stencil down was probably the hardest thing. So still just on the medium green. Okay, so now I come over here where they're meeting, and we can fan out a little. So I'm setting the parameters here for my pine tree. Okay, have a few coming out a little thicker here. And again, if you have any problems, please reach out to me. Just go and fill in a little more here. Okay, now I'm going to start adding some darker green. And if you can see, I'm not even washing my brush, I'm just going right into it. And I'm adding dabs here and there using the same technique, just pulling down. And you can use both the colors together. Gives it a nice little blending effect. And you're going to start covering that plaid underneath. So I'm just working with my dark right now. Hey Robin. Work must be tiring this time of year for you. Sad to say I haven't even done any of my Christmas shopping yet. Okay, I'm going to keep adding in some of the dark green, covering that brown. The brown pretty much was just to give you an idea of how to place your tree. I feel like my light's not good enough for me. I don't know why. I'm working with my tripod in a different direction so that you can see my painting better, especially for this longboard. So I'm just going in, adding in the darker color. And you still want to see the other color also. I'm just like layering it on. Oops, see, that's too much. Be careful how much you add on to your brush. I got some globs happening, be careful, pick it up. Okay, let's continue adding some down here. I haven't added any dark green down here yet. Pine trees are the forgiving tree to paint. Just make it your own, don't be afraid. I had to find instrumental music because Facebook will block anything with words when you go to review the video. Alright, to fill it out a little like this. I take some of that other green. You see when it starts to blend like this cool marbleized look. I need to okay, so now I'm gonna take the, because I have too much paint on my brush, I'm just gonna wipe it off, and I'm gonna go in and grab some of my light green. Now let's see, I'm gonna start at the top and I'm just gonna like dab. See how I just did little dabs there? This is when the tree gets more life with these little brightness on it. You could even, if you wanted to, add like suggestion of ornaments if you have other color paints around. Let's see, I'm just like dab dab pull. There you go. Dab dab pull. I know a lot of you have been doing these craft projects as Christmas presents, which is great. I sold my other Porchelina the other day to a woman who was giving it to her sister for a Christmas present, which is great. You know, handmade is great. And when you can't do it yourself, you know, support a local business. Add some green there. We need to remember our local businesses at this time of year. They're hurting to survive right now. And don't worry if you get too heavy with the light green. You can always go in and add some darker green back in. Or even some darker, the dark green. I'll wipe my brush and show you. I'll grab some dark green and just pull it in there. Create some depth. You can even grab the other green and pull in areas. And see how the color just blends out. That's cool. All right, let's continue downward. Okay. So I would suggest, you know, you doing this when it's a little quiet and have some time to yourself. You know, just watch the video first and then go back and do it. So once I get this final green in, then I'm just going to go in with all three greens and fill in where I feel is needed. And if you need to wait for areas to dry in between, you can. I'm just gonna work wet on wet. I found I like the mixing of the colors. Don't forget the outer branches. Add a little highlight here and there. Okay, so I'm gonna get away from the light green. I'm gonna go back to my medium green and dark green and just fill in some areas that I feel need some depth of color. And I'm not worried about if it mixes or not with the other colors near it. It just creates another color. Maybe I should have had the tripod on my left side. Feels awkward on my right. So even at this point, you can now like roll out your brush to get a finer point, and you can put, you know, a little thinner off on the edge just to give it a little detail. And try and keep the thickness, you know, even, but no worries if it's not, right? Nature's not perfect. Add a little light green there. Oop, got a little thick, it's okay. Just go in and wipe it out. There you go. Right here. So see how I'm just adding in touches. Now I tend to work a little thick with my paints, especially when it comes to nature, because I like giving a realistic depth to them. And you'll have some of the buffalo check coming through, but the majority of it will be covered. Alright, I feel it needs to come out a little over here. Just a little bit. It's looking a little peakish. See, it kind of is doing a figure 8 thing, so I'm going to fill it in right over here where it's thinner. Okay, so I'm going to come out just over here, thicken up a little bit, and do it in baby steps so you don't overdo it. There we go. So I was giving myself a guideline there. And don't forget the bottom. Alright, so now I need to thicken up over here. Let's pull it out a little bit. heard the MBTA is down to 200 trains because everybody's getting sick. Typically they run 500 trains a day. It's going to cause a big backup in Boston. Still need to be safe, people. Even last night at my class, I had 2 masks on while teaching. And hand sanitized in between everything. Okay. So I'm just kind of dropping it in and dragging. Play some Christmas music while you do this. It'll put you in the mood. I think Polar Express is on tonight. I like that one. If you start getting clunky pieces, just roll out your brush, take less paint. Still trying to make them a little even. Okay. A little more full on that end there. And this has some of the bright. Okay, I'm starting to like the fullness. All right, not too bad. I'm gonna let it sit for a minute and dry a little bit before I put the white caps on. So if I want to add any more, like I'm thinking maybe right there a little bit. I feel it's a little wobbly, but not too bad. Okay, so we are now going to do our snowflakes in the background. And simply we are going to take the bottom of our brush and our white paint. Now the size of your, I don't know if I gave you toothpicks. I can't remember what I gave out already. But you can even use toothpicks to make smaller snowflakes in the background. Let's see if I can see my toothpicks real fast. Here we go. So the smaller they are, the further away they are, right? That's the trick. So you can use the bottom of your brush and you're just going to place them throughout. And you can use a toothpick for smaller flakes. So let's start with, and I don't overload. And I'm going to keep all my snowflakes, you know, starting from below the Mary. And I'm just going to randomly put them on. Mary, did I give you a varnish? If you're still watching. I think I gave you guys varnish. Because it just adds, you don't need it because this is an indoor piece, but it just gives it a nice little glaze and it brightens the colors up. And let's put, so it's just your preference where you want them. It's like the first snow. All right, and we can add more after. Okay, so I let the green dry up a little bit. And I'm going to reassess if I need to fill it in anywhere. I'm going to just even it out with my table so I can look at it straight on. I feel like I just need to maybe add a little bit here. Over here, so I'm going to go in with my medium green and just pull some out. Over here, just to even it out a little. Add some dark in there. The more layers you get, the more realistic it's gonna look. And you can have a few poking out beyond the branch, you know what I mean? So I'm just touching up before I add the white. Like I said, this is like the easy, relaxing part of the class. Oh, thank you, Marie. I want to say doing landscapes and animals are my favorite thing. This winter I am going to practice doing people a little more because that is my challenge. It's just to get the skin tone down. I know I can do it impressionistic, but I want to try and get it a little more realistic. Alright, then I'm just going to fill in down here a little bit. Break up that big branch right here. There we go. Okay, wash your brush good. Now we're going to add the white caps on top of the tree, and it's really simple. You're not going to overpower it. You're just going to do small layering starting at the top. And I'm just using my round brush and I'm rolling it out. I don't want it to be too thick. And I'm just going to put a little dab right there. Go back, grab some white, put a little dab over here. And then you're just going to continue the sequence all the way down. It's like you just want it to be kissed by the snow, right? Because it's the first snowfall. So I just do like dot dot, oops, grab some paper, dot dot dab, dot dot dab. It's like you're almost like scribbling on top of the tree. And don't forget the center. A lot of people just go to the right or to the left, but you also have center branches, right? Especially when you get to the center, the bigger, thicker areas here, you want to make sure you give some direction in the center. So just very simple. Has anyone been to the La Salette yet? I don't know how crazy crowded it is. I know it's outside, but the beginning of October I took the girls to Salem, because I've never been outside of going there for drum corps practice. And I couldn't believe how crazy busy it was at the beginning of October. Like, I was uncomfortable. If it didn't take me over 2 hours to get there, I would have turned around. It was like Disneyland busy. And don't forget to have some on the edges, right? when I get more to the mid and down part, I like to work the center first and then I work outward. I just find my balance easier. Center. Almost to the bottom. And don't worry if it looks a little clumpy, because it does kind of collect on the branches. Now, when you get to this point and you're like, oh, I need to touch up, add green here and there, I'd wait for it to dry to do that. Just so that your white will stay white. I'm just going to add in a little here and there. Little longer branches of it here and there. And I'm just lightly tapping my brush down, putting no pressure, because I want it to sit on top of the green. So if you end up painting a little thick like what I am, let it sit for 24 hours before you put your varnish on. And then I just want to, maybe down here, just want to cover up. I'm going to have the tree kind of, I think I'm going to just have it come out a little bit more. There you go. So it's like brushing the bottom. Okay. Oh, just got paint on my hands. First time during this class. Alright, and I'm just gonna let that dry, and tomorrow I think I'm just gonna darken up the tree branch. I'll just a tree trunk a little bit, that's it, nothing major. Now I'm gonna go back and just like take a little bit of white on the edge of my brush tip again, and literally I'm gonna put like a few snowflakes crossing over onto the tree, right, to give it some depth. Alright, and there we go. There's the class. Simple and easy. You know, like I look at this when I look at it, and I want to take the black and just lightly rough up the edges so there's no, my color isn't shown over here. And that's it. Put your little John Hancock on the front or the back. put your bells on the top. You'll wait till everything's dry so you can finagle things around. And oh yes, make sure you put the varnish down before you put the bells, because you don't want to have to work around the bells. That'll be a little crazy. So if you have any questions, please call me, and have an awesome weekend. I will be seeing some of you for Sunday's class, which are these cute little slate ornaments, which I can't wait to do. That will be totally online, but if you can't make it, again, don't worry, I send you the video link, okay? So have a great night and a great weekend. Thank you.